now available in paperback and e-readers. Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door takes on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess featuring a bonus pin-up and the other two books in the Cyber Goddess saga at online bookstores everywhere today. Todd McFarlane recently stated that Warner Brothers executives have told him not to package toy guns with action figures in the DC Multiverse line. Now, the notion here is that your toy guns lead to people wanting to participate in real-life violence, and that whole idea makes absolutely no logical sense because it's not toy guns that are leading to real-life violence, and your toy guns with action figures are not the thing that are motivating any of the crime or the horrific violence that transpires in incidents like your robberies and your mass shootings. Now, the notion here from these Warner Brothers executives is that if they don't package toy guns with action figures in the DC Multiverse line with characters like Red Hood and Grifter, what this will do is it will make it where kids don't see these guns and they start getting socially engineered into the idea of not going out here and thinking about using real guns in real life. Now, this whole idea is absolutely foolish if you understand the comic book market and you understand the action figure collector market. Now, it's absolutely foolish because most of the people buying your DC Multiverse figures are not children. No, most of the people buying DC Multiverse figures are adult collectors like myself, and those adult collectors really want those accessories like your toy guns, especially with characters who are known to use firearms like your Peacemaker, like your Grifter, and like your Red Hood. All of these characters are known for using guns, and they are known for using guns as part of their story. So you're taking away a key accessory with these characters in the hopes of trying to stop violence with children, but children are not the ones buying these characters. Now, over at Marvel, they have the same notion with the Punisher. They want to try to take the Punisher away from his guns, thinking that this will go out here and persuade people to believe that not using guns is the right thing. Unfortunately, the Punisher character has always been associated with guns, so this is not going to change anything that's related to the core of the character that everybody knows. Moreover, the age of the average comic reader is 45 to 50 years old, so this whole notion of trying to disassociate these characters with guns is not going to impact the core audiences that many in your Disney or Warner Brothers is trying to target with this kind of social engineering policy, because most of the people who you're trying to target with this policy, most of those young children, they aren't going to even notice any of these products because they don't even buy these products. But you have somebody at Warner Brothers who believes, oh, I'm going to try to stop people from going out here and using toy guns and associating their characters with these guns, because toy guns with characters is what motivates people to participate in real violence, and that is not the case at all. As I was doing research for my book, The Man Crisis, I can tell you that it is not your toy guns that motivate children to go out here and participate in real life violence. No, what causes people to participate in real life violence is this kinder, gentler, softer male that we've gone out here and socially engineered over the last 50 years, because most of the mass shootings, most of the murders, and most of the suicides, these were all done by these kinder, gentler, softer beta males, and many of those men were motivated to participate in their violence not because of these toy guns that they had with their action figures all those years ago. No, what motivated those males to go out here and participate in their violence was the dysfunctional way they were raised in either single parent homes, divorced homes, or homes with a very weak father. And because these men did not get a good upbringing where they learned critical thinking skills, conflict resolution skills, or problem solving, this is why these men are wound up simmering and boiling in anger for years and even decades. And this is why these men wound up exploding in rage, where they participated in violence like mass shootings and murders, because these men were not taught the proper life skills as related to being a man. And that's what really motivated those males to go out here and participate in that violence. Because over the last 50 to 75 years, we had lots of toy guns out here. And I remember looking at many in the 80s. They had actually realistic toy guns in the Entertech toy line. And these guns really did not motivate young children like myself and during the 80s to go out here and do harm to other people. Many of us, because we were raised in a functional way, we understood that a toy gun does not mean you want to go out here and do actual harm to real people. No, we understood that a toy gun was a toy, and we also understood that the action figures we played with, like G.I. Joe and Transformers and Power Rangers, even though they came with guns, we understood that this was fiction and it wasn't something that you would do in real life. And I grew up again in the 80s where all of our toys, G.I. Joe, Transformers, they all had toy guns that came as accessories. And I even remember watching lots of action movies like The Terminator, Rambo, and American Ninja, where they were constantly using guns. But this was not what would make me go out here and want to do harm to another person. No, a toy gun with an action figure was not what motivated me to want to go out here and do anything to anyone. No, and watching all of those 80s action movies and those with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, like Commando, Rambo, and American Ninja, never motivated me to want to go out here and do harm to somebody else. I mean, as somebody, again, who grew up in the 80s, watching all sorts of violent shows and watching wrestling and watching all sorts of horror movies, I understood all of it was fiction. And because I understood it was fiction, and that was what what made me inspired to want to go out here and want to write fantasy and science and comic books, because I saw how fun those stories were, and it wasn't about going out here and looking to do harm to somebody else in real life. If anything, watching all of those different shows made me realize how you want to go out here and do good for others, because the morals of those stories was always about doing good in those comic books, in those action movies, and in much of the media that I watched and the toys I played with. So I understand that trying to take the guns out of these figures is not going to really change anything, and all it is one big virtue signal for some executives who want to think that they can socially engineer the idea of, oh, this is going to be our way of trying to do gun control. But the problems with these violent individuals goes deeper than this, because many of those beta males were never taught self-control. And just because you take the guns out of the package with the figures, this is not going to change any collector's minds, because what this is going to do is cost your companies like McFarlane Toys sales, because some people will choose not to buy the figures, Or if they do buy the figures, what this is going to do is open up a market for the third party that I have seen growing on eBay as related to 112 and possibly a 7-inch scale weapons, because a lot of people currently buy 112 scale weapons for their G.I. Joe classified figures, and now many of those people are now going to move over and start buying those same types of small scale firearms for their McFarlane figures. I mean, the whole thing is you're just opening up a third party market, because there are collectors who want their figures to have guns, and there are characters who are known for using firearms, and you're not going out here going to stop anything, because the whole thing is that taking the guns out of the package is not a method of gun control, because the big problem with all these guys who talk about gun control is they don't understand how your gun control has no real impact, because here in states like New York we have the strictest gun control laws, and it has not stopped the crime from spiking here. Moreover, from my research when writing The Man Crisis, I've noticed that every state where they've had a mass shooting, a lot of them had the strictest gun control laws, and it didn't stop any of those mass shooters from being able to participate in their carnage, because many of those men practically passed the background checks and they bought their guns legally. So this whole argument about taking the guns out of the package to try to get kids to not go out here and think about using guns in a violent manner, this is a ridiculous whole idea, and all it's going to do is impede the sales of many DC figures, or it may lead to some collectors going into the third party to buy these same weapons. But it doesn't really stop anything, and it's not going to change anything, because, again, what causes real violence is dealing with a whole different set of issues, and the whole thing is many of these people in the toy industry really need to do their research on those issues before they go out here and do some virtue signaling in an effort to try to say that they're trying to change things. But the way you change things is by going out here doing your research, understanding the issue, and understanding that you have to go out here and understand that toys don't motivate children to participate in violence. No, toys just are something children play with, and toys are just something that kids go out here and imagine things, and the whole thing is you cannot change somebody's imagination to become kinder, gentler, and so-called softer, because every time you try to change a male into this kinder, gentler, softer male, you get the actual toxic male, and the toxic male is the one going out here participating in the violence, because the toxic male has not been given any sort of guidance, he's not been given any sort of support, he's not been given any sort of structure, and this is why he is violent. It's not because he played with toy guns, it's because he never learned how to be socialized to be able to navigate life, and because he wasn't socialized to navigate life, this is why he doesn't understand how the world works. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my positive books on the SJS Direct Imprint, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spencerella trilogy, you can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle, Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Learn how to avoid predatory females like Instagram models and e-girls in their virtual con games with Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Get your copy of Stop Simping in Cyberspace in paperback and Kindle today.